and welcome to episode 2 of the White Flag Podcast, presented by Bias Boston Sports, the world's first and only podcast about NASCAR. And let me tell you, it's a high honor to be the world's only NASCAR podcast, but it's getting kind of lonely. I wish someone else would make it. Not really, though. It's great having a monopoly on the NASCAR podcast market. Anyway, I'm your host, Mike Doyle, your only host, because former co-host, Donald Hand has been relieved of his duties for being a little bitch. Shout out Pinecone. Anyway, we've got a lot of racing to cover. We have to do the recap of the 500. We have to talk about the Truck Series race, the Xfinity Series race, and we have to preview the race tomorrow in Atlanta. Okay, so firstly, we'll recap the 500. If you haven't watched the Daytona 500, then I'm about to spoil it big time for you. Austin Dillon has won the Daytona 500. He did it in the 3-car, obviously, 20 years after Dale Sr. did it. Rest in peace. And he won the Daytona 500. So he did the slide and everything. It was great. Anyway, it was the second time ever the 3 cars on the Daytona 500. The only other time, of course, being Dale did it back in '98. And I don't like Austin Dillon. I really don't like him as a driver. And it's not really his fault. It's not really his fault because he was given number 3. He came up into the Cup Series, and I believe the number 3 should be retired for Dale Sr. after he died tragically back in 2001. I think Dale Sr. I think that number should have been retired, and I just don't think anyone should be allowed to wear it. We were allowed to try it, but they gave it to Austin Dillon, so ever since then I've kind of hated him for that. That's not his fault, but that's just the way it is. Anyway, there's some controversy regarding Austin Dillon about how he won this race. And that, well, basically, if you haven't watched it, I'm going to spoil it for you. Aric Almirola was in first. The 10 was in first. Austin Dillon comes up, bumps into the back of his car. Almirola gets sent to the wall, paving the way for the 3, the 43, and the 11 to finish 1, 2, 3 in order, of course. Now, firstly, let's talk about number 11, of course, Daytona 500 champion from 2016, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin's, of course, a very good driver and had a very good season, and I think that's a great start. Next, 43, Bubba Wallace. I think this guy is my prediction to win Rookie of the Year. The King picked him personally to drive the 43, and although the 53 was not in petty blue as it always should be, and the fact that it wasn't is a goddamn shame. Oh, fuck. What I was going to say is that Bubba Wallace is going to be a great driver. He's going to be great in NASCAR. And finally, the 3, Austin Dillon. There's a lot of controversy surrounding how he won the race. People say, oh, it's dirty. I just said it before, but I'm going to repeat it. I do not like Austin Dillon. I never liked Austin Dillon, and I probably will never like Austin Dillon. That being said, I get where he's coming from. He's trying to... He's that late in the race, last lap. You do anything you can do to win. Is it a little dirty? Yeah. Is it a bit of an asshole move? Yeah, but I can understand where he's coming from, and honestly, I would have done the same thing if I was in his position. But I mean, at the same time, I can still see why people would hate him for doing that. I mean, Austin Dillon's an asshole, and Aric Almirola is a little soft bitch. But he's a little soft bitch, you feel me? So Almirola's not going to do anything to retaliate. Although I would love for him to put him into the wall on Sunday. It's just not going to happen because Almirola's just not the type of driver. Anyway, so Austin Dillon will take 500. Congrats to him, whatever. That's that. So, following up over that, we had a couple races today. An Xfinity Series race and a Truck Series. Xfinity Series, of course, the JV version of NASCAR. And Truck Series freshman team. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. So, obviously, in the Xfinity Series at Atlanta, Kevin Harvick, stop me if you heard this before, won at Atlanta. He's won 5 of his 47 career races in the Xfinity Series at Atlanta. Now, let's just do the math right here. 5 divided by 47. That's about 10.6% of his career wins in the Xfinity Series has come at Atlanta. He's won 4 of the last 6 races at Atlanta in the Xfinity Series. He's as dominant in every sense of the word. He led 141 laps earlier on Saturday. There's just fucking no words to describe how dominant he was. He, rather from the start to finish, post to post, in control. The only times he weren't in the lead was when he was pitted out of caution. The guys who, the Ross Chastains of the world, who's, by the way, Ross Chastain, if you want to come on the podcast, hit me up, who stayed on the track during the cautions that didn't pit. They got the lead, but only for a second before Matt Kenseth got back up. Or not fucking Matt Kenseth. Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick at one point had a 6.5 second lead on the second place driver, which is Joey Logano, who I hate, so I'm happy to see him lose. A 6.5 second lead. That is dominant. Think of the most dominant thing I've ever seen in any sport. This is like that. Kevin Harvick at Atlanta is like the Patriots. They're like the Yankees. I'm not saying that Kevin Harvick's as good as the Patriots or Yankees, but it's sort of the same level of dominance. It's just impossible to stop. You had 141 out of 163 laps, and he won all 3 stages. So again, he led almost 87% of all the laps. He led, and he won today. Now, what does this mean for tomorrow? I mean, of course, the Xfinity Series cars are different from the Cup Series cars. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I don't apologize. The Xfinity Series cars are different from the Truck Series cars. However, Matt Kenseth is dominant. Fucking Matt Kenseth. Why did I fuck it up again? Kevin Harvick is dominant at Atlanta, so anything can happen tomorrow, but we'll go in the full preview of that race later. So next after that is the Truck Series race that happened today. Of course, Truck Series, obviously, Kyle Busch just runs in the Truck Series for fun, which, let me go off on a little bit of a tangent, but I promise I'm going to come back to the point. Kyle Busch, okay, the king, obviously, is his first on the list in NASCAR history in wins, 200. No one's even close, right? No one's even close. Kyle fucking Busch is in second. Kyle goddamn motherfucking Busch. No words, man. No words. Kyle Busch is the second most wins in the history of NASCAR. Of course, that's a little bit inflated. Here's why. Kyle Busch drives in all 3 series of NASCAR quite frequently. Looking at this, even in 2017, he ran 10 races in the Xfinity Series. And he won 5. He finished in the top 5 in 8. He is the all-time leading winner in the Xfinity Series. 91. He has won 49 races in the Truck Series. He has won 91 races in the Xfinity Series. As I said, I have the stats right on my phone. And he's won 43 in the Cup Series. So, if we just put those together, 43 for the Cup Series, 91 for the Xfinity Series, where he's the all-time leader, and 49, that's 183. Kyle fucking Busch is 18 wins away from passing the king in all-time wins in NASCAR history, but that's inflated. The king only did it on 1 series, the Cup Series, and half of the series when he raced. Busch did it on all 3, and he's racing all multiple races a year in all 3. He races all of the NASCAR, all of the ones in the Cup Series, unless, of course, if he gets injured or something. He's still racing about 10, 15 races in the Xfinity Series now that he used to race like 20, but he still races a good amount. And the Truck Series, he still races about. He's still doing this in the all three. There's times where Kyle Busch will race in the Xfinity Series on Saturday and the Cup Series on Sunday. And there's good chances he can win all three. He's that, not that good, not that versatile. He won the Truck Series, he won in the Nationwide Series, Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series on the same weekend. I don't think it's ever happened, but if you told me Kyle Busch did, I would be surprised. And he's 17 wins away from tying Richard fucking Petty, the cleanest driver to walk the earth. But this brings up the question. What if Richard Petty raced in all three series? I think he could have won 500 races, and I don't think that's that much of a stretch. He is just that good, that dominant. He was that good. He won. You gotta remind you, I'm gonna repeat this because I already said it in last week's podcast. I'm gonna repeat it in this week's podcast. He won 67 races in a year. No. Now that would be real dominant if he won 67 in a year. He won 27 races in 1967 out of 49. There are no words to describe that dominance. That's Kevin Harvick. I almost called him Matt Kenseth there, but I stopped myself. Kevin Harvick in Atlanta on steroids. That is so dominant. Anyway, so back to the Truck Series race. So Kyle Busch was the heavy favorite heading into this race today. Obviously, he won the pole, and he's also Kyle fucking Busch, and the rest of these guys are either part-time. Okay. Not to shit on the Truck Series. The Truck Series is a very good series of racing, obviously. But all the drivers in the Truck Series are either 16 years old, 65 years old, or NASCAR drivers, and this is their like hobby. That's not. I love the Truck Series. It's not me hating on it. That's just the facts. Well, facts. This is my opinion, but it's hilarious. Now, that's just what I'm saying. Anyway, Kyle Busch won the pole, and he was dominating the whole race. Just dominant. And then 4 laps to go, he choked. I'm comfortable in saying that. He choked. With 4 laps to go, Kyle Busch was in the lead and obviously coming out of pit lane. And when he left too early and his pit crew did not tighten the lug nuts on his left rear tire, so before he got out of pit lane, the tire came off. The tire came off. He had to back into pit lane, and he had to get a new tire, and he went out. He finished the race 21st. He went out and finished the race 21st after he won the second stage, not the first. I'll say who won the first and the second. It's kind of funny. He finished. Kyle Busch won the second stage. He finished in 21st. This is the series. Finished in 21st. And it's just. He won the pole, by the way. Of course, in the first stage, he was kind of like acting sloppy, sluggish. He let Noah Gragson take the lead on him. And Noah Gragson, before we'll get that, we'll talk about all of him, but then the second stage was all Busch. I wouldn't be surprised. I think he led the entire stage. I think he got around Gragson, and then from there on, just led the entire stage. And most of the third stage too. But with 4 laps to go, he choked. There's no excuse for Kyle Busch. I said this earlier in the Twitter account. When you've been in this sport as long as Kyle Busch has, and you've won as many races as Kyle Busch has, which nobody's ever done except for Richard Petty, there's no excuse for you to drive away too early for your pit. No excuse. If he just waited that extra 2-3 seconds, which of course I'm not going to say 2-3 seconds isn't a big deal because it very much is when it comes to pit stops. Then he would have been fine. He would have been set back, probably one closer than 21st, and two, he would have, probably won. But still, I mean, Joe Nemechek finished ahead of him. Joe fucking Nemechek. I didn't even know Joe Nemechek was still driving. I thought he retired like 8 years ago. In fact, I want to check right now when Joe Nemechek's last race in the Cup Series was. Because he hasn't raced full-time in forever. And when he did, he was just like, at least in my life, I just know him as like he'd always be off. He'd always like get in the 40th, drive a few laps, and just go park his car in the garage. Truck Series. Yeah, he hasn't run it. He ran one Truck Series race in 2015. He actually led a lap, but not Truck Cup Series. So I will just throw that out and we'll say his last year of full-time racing was 2013. He ran part-time in 14, 15 in Cup Series. The Xfinity Series, same thing. His last full-time was 2015. Before that, he still runs a few races a year. Cup Series, again, mostly part-time. Still Joe fucking Nemechek. He's 54 years old, still racing. His son, actually, finished higher in the Xfinity Series, I believe. Well, his son finished fourth. John Hunter Nemechek, very talented young driver, finished fourth in the Xfinity Series race today. Joe Nemechek finished 11th in the Campbell Truck Series race. Anyway, as we were saying, no, he finished 12th. My bad. As we were saying with Noah Gragson. Let's talk about Noah Gragson. So, if you follow the Twitter account at WhiteFlagBBS on Twitter, then you know that I tweet out my race analysis during that. I said earlier today, really who had Noah Gragson and Matt Crafton ahead of Kyle Busch at the end of stage 1. That was at 5:23 p.m. And then later today, about less than an hour ago, Noah fucking Gragson likes the tweet. Noah fucking Gragson. The actual driver, look, I'm going to prove it right here. Those likes. Scroll down. I didn't even add him. I'm trying to find it. I didn't even add him. I swear to God. He liked the tweet. That is... I'll just show you this. See there? That's thing of focus, which you probably won't because I'm just using my webcam, my computer. But let me assure you, if you go on the White Flag BBS account right now, and you go to that tweet and you click on likes Noah fucking Gragson, which that means he's a fan of the podcast. So Noah, if you want to come on, hit me up in the DMs on White Flag or at my personal account on Mikey GFY. We can work something out, buddy. We can get you on the podcast. I can interview you. Be fucking awesome. Okay. Now on to the main event, of course. That, of course, is the race run tomorrow at Atlanta. 1:16 p.m. NASCAR had to move it up because of rain in Atlanta. 1:16 p.m. So, who's the favorite? Well, I don't have the odds on my phone on here as I probably should. But it's Matt Kenseth. Fuck! Why do I confuse Matt Kenseth and Kevin Harvick? It's Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick. I would be surprised if he wasn't the favorite. I'm not doing this very professionally, and I'm aware. So, the NASCAR at Atlanta, starting lineup. We're going to go through the starting lineup odds and my prediction and all that stuff. So Kyle Busch won the poll. And here is the starting lineup for the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 in Atlanta. So I'll just read out the top 10. Kyle Busch, Ryman Newman, Kevin Harvick, Daniel Suarez, Brad Keselowski, Ricky Stenhouse, Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson, Clinton Boyer, and Eric Jones. Other notables include Denny Hamlin 12th, Joey Logano 16th, Bubba Wallace 19th, Jimmy Johnson 22nd, Austin Dillon 25th, and Martin Truex Jr. 35th. So 5-1, Martin Truex Jr. and guess who? That's right, Kevin Harvick. Kyle Larson 6-1, Kyle Busch 8-1, Chase Elliott 8-1, Jimmy Johnson 10-1, Denny Hamlin 12-1, 12-1 for Brad Keselowski, 14-1 Joey Logano. Other notables: Austin Dillon at 50-1, Trevor Bayne at 50-1, Daniel Suarez 50-1, and of course Bubba Wallace at 100-1. And of course, because who doesn't want to know who has the lowest odds to win the race? Ty Dillon at 125-1. Now, what is my prediction for this race? It's gotta be Kevin Harvick. Not Matt Kenseth, mind you. Matt Kenseth, let me just pull it up right here. Matt Kenseth is not my prediction. Matt Kenseth is not running this race. Matt DiBenedetto is. Matt DiBenedetto, who name I will always look at and think of Andrew Benintendi, but not Matt Kenseth. I don't know why I keep calling Kevin Harvick Matt Kenseth, but I do. Anyway, so Kevin Harvick starting third. He's my prediction to win the race because he's so dominant out of Atlanta. Like, he's like the Yankees in the playoffs every night. He's like the Patriots. Okay, I thought of a great analogy. Kevin Harvick at Atlanta is the NASCAR version of Tom Brady versus the Bears. Now, I'm not saying that Kevin Harvick's as good at racing as Tom Brady is at football, because that's just not accurate. If I were to compare Tom Brady to anyone in this NASCAR season, it would be Jimmy Johnson. I think it's not Johnson and a Brady fan, but because they have the championships and shit. Anyway, as I was saying, he's just dominant. I don't know what it is. I honestly don't. But for some reason, he's just so dominant. I don't know. Maybe he just really likes the track. Maybe his cars just really run well on there. Maybe he's just so used to the track. Maybe it's a combination of all these things. Maybe it's something I can't even think about. But my point is that he's just dominant at this track. And I'd be surprised if he didn't win the race. The only way he doesn't win the race, in my opinion, is if he runs out of fuel on the last one. If he runs out of fuel, or he drives out too early in pit lane like Kyle Busch did, which, again, I emphasize, someone like Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch, someone with a lot of experience in this sport, should not be doing that, because there's just no excuse for them. Like, even if you're like a 20-year-old rookie, like say Bubba Wallace, for example, you drive away, okay, you still got like 4 years of experience in the sport, but it's a little bit more excusable, even though it's not really that excusable what you're doing. You're still driving away when your pit crew isn't finished. And that's another thing. Don't drive away before your pit crew is finished. Let your pit crew finish so that, you don't fucking pull Kyle Busch. Like, there's just no words. I can't describe it. Go Google the video. Open another tab on your computer or your phone, and go look at the end of the Truck Series race today. Kyle Busch, the tire just slid off. He had to back into his pit stall. There's no reason for a driver of Kyle Busch's experience and clout to be able to do that. I know I'm ragging him a lot for this, but there is no reason that Kyle Busch should be doing this. He's too talented. He's been so good for so long. He's second all time in wins to the fucking king. He's a NASCAR champion, and he was. He's an Xfinity Series champion, and I think he's a Truck Series champion. But to do that, that's just not inexcusable. Inexcusable. Hopefully that well, Kyle Busch won the pole in that race. And Kyle Busch won the pole in the Cup Series race. What if Kyle Busch does this again? No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because Kyle Busch is facing much tougher competition. All of these guys, except someone like Corey LaJoie, who isn't even racing and shouldn't be racing. He should not be in racing. There, I said it. Kyle Busch is facing much tougher competition. He's facing guys like Kevin Harvick, who's dominated, and guys like Martin Truex Jr., Johnson, all these guys. He's not facing Ross Chastain. Bad example. Ross Chastain is not in the truck series. Bad example. Not facing guys like Johnny Sauter or Noah Griggs or Noah Gragson. Not to disrespect those guys. I think they're both talented drivers, but I mean, you take the biggest Noah Gragson fan in the world and you say, well, he's still not better than Jimmy Johnson. He's still not better than guys like Denny Hamlin. No, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a truck series driver. I mean, 99% of fans would love to be a truck series driver. But the competition in the truck series is just not nearly as good as it is in the Cup Series. So I would imagine that Kyle Busch stays on his guard and doesn't fuck up in big time like that. That's just inexcusable, as I keep on saying. And I'm going to keep on ragging on Kyle Busch for that for a long time, that's for sure, at least for another week until the next Truck Series. Or maybe he'll win tomorrow and I'll just completely forget about it. Either way, that's really it. I got nothing else to say, so I'm just going to end the podcast right here. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. I don't know what I'm putting down. I'm not going to put the link in the description. I'm too lazy to. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at MikeyGFY and follow the podcast on Twitter at WhiteFlagPBS. Noah Gragson, if you're listening, buddy, I know you're a fan. DM me. We're going to get you on the podcast, all right? It'll be awesome. Be sure to follow Bias Boston Sports on Twitter at Bias Boston on Twitter, and be sure to check them out on the internet at BiasBostonSports.com. So, Mikey, and I got nothing else to say. I've been talking for like 20, almost 30 minutes, so I'm just going to go shut up.